This is Plant-Based Briefing, Asthma and Diet, Here's What You Should Know, by Dana Hudepohl at forksoverknives.com. And I'm Marian Erickson, and this is the Plant-Based Podcast where I curate and narrate a variety of articles on healthy, compassionate, and sustainable living with permission every weekday. Today's article is from Forks Over Knives. I read their content a fair bit, so you're probably all familiar with them. So now let's just jump right in and get to today's Plant-Based Briefing. Asthma and Diet, Here's What You Should Know, by Dana Hudepohl at forksoverknives.com. More than 26 million Americans have asthma. Worldwide, as many as 400 million people are projected to have asthma by 2025, an increase of 100 million in just 20 years, according to a report by the Global Initiative for Asthma, GINA, Dissemination Committee. Studies show that these increases are related to environmental changes such as urbanization, as well as unhealthy lifestyle behaviors, including the growth of the westernized diet, sedentary lifestyle, and obesity. In this article, we'll review the connections between diet and asthma. What is asthma? Asthma is a chronic lung disease that can start at any age. It causes the lining of the bronchial tubes, the airways leading into your lungs, to become red, swollen, and sensitive. Once these airways are inflamed, they become hypersensitive to triggers that may not bother others. Under these circumstances, triggers can lead to an asthma attack. The airways lining further swells, the muscles that wrap around the bronchial tubes tighten or spasm, and more mucus than usual is produced, which can clog the airways. As a result, the airways become even narrower, making it harder to get air into the lungs. What are the symptoms of asthma? Asthma-related inflammation can be present in the airways without any obvious symptoms. When this inflammation escalates during an asthma attack, symptoms can include shortness of breath, rapid breathing, chest tightness, coughing, or wheezing. What are the triggers? Asthma attacks can be triggered by different factors in different people. Common triggers include air pollution, tobacco smoke, dust mites, pets, mold, cleaning products, exercise, and strong emotions, according to the Centers for Disease Control. What are the dangers of uncontrolled asthma? When not properly managed, asthma can be dangerous and potentially fatal. According to the most recent numbers from the World Health Organization, asthma caused 461,000 deaths worldwide in 2019. Avoiding triggers and using medications are the primary interventions for managing asthma. Researchers are investigating healthy lifestyle behaviors, including diet, that may help prevent or manage asthma, lower morbidity and mortality, and improve quality of life. How does diet affect asthma? There's rising interest in the impact of diet on an asthma patient's condition. While lifestyle medicine in pulmonary disease is in its infancy, evidence-based practice and lessons learned from lifestyle interventions in other chronic diseases such as diabetes and atherosclerotic vascular disease should impart critical insights for lifestyle interventions in asthma, says Sharmali Nainhais, MD, a researcher from the University of Illinois at Chicago's Division of Pulmonary Critical Care, Sleep and Allergy, who recently co-authored a commentary on the subject linked here. Existing evidence points to some clear patterns. Global rates of asthma began steadily rising in the 1980s with the spread of the westernized diet, aka the standard American diet, characterized by highly processed convenience foods, fried foods, refined grains, sweets, processed and red meats, and high-fat dairy products, with low intake of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. In 2015, researchers from Harvard surveyed the eating patterns and asthma rates of children in Puerto Rico. They found that a dietary pattern including frequent consumption of dairy products and sweets, sodas and snacks, with infrequent intake of vegetables and grains, led to increased odds of asthma in the children. Fast food, a hallmark of the westernized diet, has also been implicated in asthma. The International Study of Asthma and Allergies in Childhood, a large-scale epidemiological study, leveraged data on the dietary habits of 500,000 children and adolescents from around the world. Those who consumed fast food 3 or more times per week had an increased risk of severe asthma, according to the results. Inflammatory foods. Westernized diets are typically high in energy-dense foods that contain a high proportion of saturated fat, which has been shown to increase airway inflammation, contributing to asthma symptoms, says Lisa Wood, Ph.D., professor of biomedical science at the University of Newcastle in Australia. Wood researches nutrition, inflammation, and pulmonary disease at the university's Priority Research Center for Healthy Lungs. In one of Wood's studies, researchers looked at asthma patients 4 hours after a low-fat or high-fat meal. They found that those who ate the high-fat meal had more airway inflammation and a suppressed response to their inhalant medicine. The westernized diet is also low in foods that are sources of antioxidants and soluble fiber, such as fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, which have been shown to protect against airway inflammation and improve asthma control, says Wood. Obesity. The spread of the westernized diet also corresponds with the rise in obesity, a chronic disease that is associated with increased asthma risks. In a meta-analysis in the American Journal of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine, researchers found that risk of asthma increases 50% in those who are overweight or obese, and the incidence of asthma increases as BMI increases. Obesity also dulls the responsiveness to asthma medicines, so that obese asthma sufferers have to use higher doses of drugs like corticosteroids. Studies have found that obese adults have a 4 to 6-fold increase of being hospitalized compared with lean adults with asthma. Weight management is an independent factor that can help with asthma, says Hanna Kaliova, MD, PhD, MBA, Director of Clinical Research at the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. Gut dysbiosis. Gut dysbiosis can lead to increased permeability of the intestinal barrier and result in low-grade systemic inflammation, and inflammation is the underlying cause of asthma. The gut microbiome has been shown to play an important role in asthma development, says Kaliova. While it didn't look at asthma specifically, a 2017 study found that children eating a diet heavy in animal foods and processed food had lower levels of anti-inflammatory gut bacteria strains than children eating a predominantly plant-based diet. In his book Fiber Fueled, Will Bolskowitz, MD, describes a study in which researchers analyzed the dirty diapers of 300 infants at 3 months old. He writes, they discovered that specific changes in the gut bacteria this early in life already predicted which children would subsequently develop asthma years later. But to prove that the gut microbes were actually causing the asthma, they transferred the stool from the diapers into special germ-free mice. Yes, they did a fecal transplant from a human into a mouse. The mice all developed inflamed lungs, indicative of asthma. Does eating a plant-based diet help prevent asthma? A systematic review by the European Academy of Allergy and Clinical Immunology Lifestyle and Asthma Task Force concluded that the existing evidence supports recommendations in clinical practice to increase the intake of fruits and vegetables as a way of reducing the risk of asthma, particularly in children. In the Harvard study of Puerto Rican children, the children with a healthy diet, defined in the study as frequent consumption of vegetables or grains and infrequent consumption of dairy products and sweets, had on average 83% lower odds of asthma than children eating an unhealthy diet. The researchers found that a healthier diet was associated with lower inflammatory cytokine levels. Fruits and vegetables and other plant foods such as whole grains, seeds, nuts, and legumes are high in antioxidants, which protect against inflammation. They also are rich in fiber. When you consume fiber, your gut microbes produce short-chain fatty acids that reduce inflammation, such as butyrate. Plant-based foods support the biodiversity of the gut microbiome and also promote the bacteria that are anti-inflammatory, says Kaliova of the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. Can dietary changes reduce symptoms in people who already have asthma? In a study of asthmatic adults conducted by Wood's team in Australia, patients were assigned for 2 weeks to diets with varying levels of antioxidants. One group ate a high antioxidant diet with 5 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. A second group ate a low antioxidant diet with 2 or fewer servings of vegetables and 1 serving of fruit daily. After the 2 weeks were up, researchers continued to monitor the subjects for 3 months. They found that the high antioxidant group on average went significantly longer without experiencing an asthma attack. The low antioxidant diet group was more than twice as likely to have an asthma attack. Anecdotally, Forks Over Knives has heard from people who have had success controlling their asthma after adopting a whole food plant-based diet. 3 success stories are linked here. Asthma held me back until I tried a plant-based diet. Eczema, arthritis, asthma, migraines, all gone after going plant-based, and how a plant-based diet reversed my asthma. Experts continue to research just how much of an effect diet has on asthma, with the goal of someday developing standardized dietary guidelines. The available research shows that eating a plant-predominant diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and other fiber-rich foods can help mitigate asthma by contributing to a healthy weight, balancing a healthy gut environment, and protecting against systemic and airway inflammation. The best dietary strategy for asthma is to consume a diet high in fruits and vegetables and low in fast foods, whilst achieving and maintaining a healthy weight, says Wood. This strategy will protect against inflammation, which is the underlying cause of asthma. You just listened to Asthma and Diet, Here's What You Should Know by Dana Hudepohl at ForksOverKnives.com, and I'm your host, Marian Erickson. And if you want to check out another episode on asthma, check out 103, From Pre-Diabetic, Asthmatic, and Anemic to Positively Thriving on a Plant-Based Diet, and a few others on inflammation and food specifically, 203, Foods that Cause Inflammation and Which Foods Are Anti-Inflammatory, and a two-parter, 373 and 374, Healing Autoimmune Disease with Supermarket Foods. I'll link all of those in the show notes as well, and please share this episode with anyone who might benefit, and thanks for listening.